The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
It's June 21st, the first day of summer and the day we celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada. So we've got three stories of creativity, learning, and excellence. First, the unique offering of Indigenous tourism in this province. Then, how worldview informs creative practice in design and architecture. And finally, why seeing two Indigenous players in the Stanley Cup final this year is probably just the beginning. Stay with us. That's all ahead on the agenda. If traveling the province is part of your summer holiday plans, you'll want to listen closely to our next two guests. They're both part of a growing Indigenous-led tourism sector that's sharing with non-Indigenous people across Ontario the food, culture, history, and traditions that have been practiced on these lands for thousands of years. With us now for more, from Chiging First Nation on Manitoulin Island, Neil Dubasagi, who is a producer on Sportsman Channel Canada's hunting and fishing program, Fuel the Fire TV. He also does fishing charters and cabin rentals on Manitoulin. And in Vaughan, Ontario, Kevin Eshkokagan, President and CEO of Indigenous Tourism Ontario, and it's great to have you two on our program tonight here on TVO. Kevin, I'll start with you. You've been at Indigenous Tourism Ontario for more than 5 years now. Just give us a sense of how the trend is going in your sector.
Yeah, well, first, Ani Bojo, Steve, Neil, Gigadon and Adishnikaz, the Dona Sing Donjiba, Ganoje Dodam. But you can simply call me Kevin. That's easier for everyone involved. And simply enough, in the last 5 years, we've seen growth. Even with the pandemic, there's been high demand for Indigenous tourism experiences. And that's largely due to a lot of work that's happened over the last 20 years. Some would say over the last couple of thousand years, as we've been hosting guests for that long. So with that being said, over the last 5 years, with a growing demand for experiences and learning more, with more sophisticated consumers, they want to learn the true history of the Indigenous people of Turtle Island, or in our case here in Ontario, which I help represent.
Neil, tell us more about the kind of tourism you do.
For sure. We do a number of things in terms of getting people back to center, if you will. And the biggest part of that is getting them back on the land and back on the water. So we have some cottages that we rent, Airbnb, and we take people out on fishing excursions all over Manitoulin. We can do the North Shore, we can do the South Shore of Manitoulin into Georgian Bay.
Kevin, I wonder if any people in your community look at what you do and don't call it tourism, but rather say you're kind of showing the settlers around. Is there any of that attitude involved?
Well, there definitely is, and there's a lot of different attitudes in many facets. And showing people around, teaching them some of our ways, educating people, that's all a part of Indigenous tourism. I think first and foremost, it's about telling our story on our terms and less about the capitalistic side of the business, which is generating revenue. And sometimes that causes a problem. But yeah, you're right. We show a lot of people around to share a little quick story. One of our chiefs jokingly and in a very fun way with some visitors on a cruise ship said, listen, we only expect one thing at the end of the day, and that's to get back on that ship, because we only make that one mistake once. But he's saying that very affectionately to those visitors, because they genuinely had to get back on the ship because they were heading to the U.S. after that.
Well, I mean, I get the joke, but I'm wondering, at some point, I imagine the joke comes up that now here's the land you guys stole from us thousands of years ago. And I mean, does that kind of joke come up?
It definitely comes up. We have travelers from all over the world. So a lot of it has to do with educating people on what it is we do here, who we are as, keepers of the land. And we educate first and foremost. And we've got to keep in mind when we're doing tourism, as Neil well knows, it's about making sure that people enjoy themselves well on a vacation, and educating them in a gentle, kind way, so that they understand our perspective and become friends and allies of ours.
Got it. Neil, I heard, now you tell me if I got this right, you were a high school principal once upon a time?
Yes, I'm a retired educator. I was a principal for both at the elementary and secondary levels.
Okay, so how did you get from that to what you're doing now?
It was pretty much, what we did anyway. I was doing multiple roles as an educator. We started the rental business back in 2004, and it's an extension of our daily life. I mean, we harvest to eat, and we spend all of our waking hours, or most of them anyway, outside, on the water and on the land. So it really wasn't too much of a stretch, even in education. My qualifications were in the sciences and taught math and science. And then when we moved into, the administration setting, we formed programs around outdoor education. So that was a big focus for the school. And as many people know, land-based education is all the rave currently. So, that continues to be a focus.
And how often when you're doing your tours do people say, hey, you're that Fuel the Fire TV guy?
It happens. I mean, it's a niche audience in terms of the hunting and fishing world. When we're trying to get people out, typically, they're first timers to the island and to Manitoulin, and they're just looking for an excursion that they haven't had the opportunity to do. Going out on a charter boat and targeting these bigger types of fish, like any of the salmonoid species. It's a costly endeavor to get set up for that type of thing. So not everyone has that access. And then once we get out there, we just start to slowly incorporate that mindset or that First Nation worldview in terms of gearing the experience around a medicine wheel. And we talk a lot about food sovereignty because that's one of the big reasons that we do go out onto the water, is to harvest and to be able to come full circle, not only stepping into the life cycle of the game that we're chasing, but also then bringing that back in a sustenance type of way, so that you can enjoy that experience all over again with family around a barbecue and the dinner table.
Kevin, you well know there has been a huge uptake in ecotourism, as it's called, and I wonder how that affects what you're trying to do.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. In my role at the provincial level and in the work that we do, it's we're here to support fellows like Neil and business operators who want to do good things and share their stories and help educate through educational, interactive, and experiential experiences. So when we think of ecotourism, it seems to be the trend right now, Steve, but in reality, when I first came into the industry for working for the communal good, working for the people, it was at the forefront back in 2002, 2003. And, it's new, but it's not new. And it's just simply a way of our living. And as I said, we've been doing this for thousands of years. And sustainability was a big part of that. And ecotourism, although it's got a fancy name, like most things with Indigenous people, we've been doing some of this stuff for a long time. And I'm quick to say we're some of the original hosts, we're the original scientists, the original doctors. We've done a lot of things here. We're the first at a lot of things. And, when it comes to ecotourism, we've been doing it for a long time before, what we know as our country today or this continent today. We've been managing these lands for a long, long time in a very sustainable manner. And it didn't have fancy names like ecotourism, but we did take care of these lands in a very productive manner, and it provided for all.
Neil, let me follow up with you on this front. Let's say, for example, you're organizing a fishing trip. How is a fishing trip, quote unquote, Indigenous-led or Indigenous-focused, to make it distinctive from any other ordinary fishing trip?
Well, one of the ways that we start our trips off is we have a discussion, obviously, about safety and what we need to do in that regard. But we also started off by making an offering, and tobacco is one of our sacred medicines in the Indigenous culture. And so we actually, I want to make a point to start off our fishing trips with that offering, giving thanks, to create this attitude of gratitude notion. And so that we understand that we're giving thanks for the opportunity to experience something from all quadrants of our medicine wheel, from the emotional, the spiritual, the physical, and mental sides. And we don't want people to think that if we had a really good trip and we do an offering at the end of the trip, that it has anything to do with, oh, we better do an offering of medicine for good luck, because that's not the point of that. And so that often starts the discussion, and it eases people into this understanding of what those medicines mean to us, and then how we incorporate that into our everyday life. And fishing is, for us, it's almost an everyday activity, and it's something that we want to get into the habit of realizing and being in the moment, and realizing the importance of awareness about where you are, where your food comes from, and how we can take matters into our own hands and create this sustainable environment for everyone.
Kevin, I appreciated your previous answer. It's very thoughtful and a great reminder to people about how you are the original stewards of the land and have been caring for these lands for many, many, many centuries. But there are aspects of tourism that are not consistent with good environmental practices. And I think about people who, for example, hop on a plane to get to wherever they need to get to start their tourism journey. And I wonder how you sort of reconcile the negative aspects of what you're involved in, just by virtue of the fact that people have to either get in cars or get on planes to get to where they got to get to, with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and that's a great comment and question that we need to address collectively as an industry. Often we don't want to talk about the negative impacts of tourism, and we can see during the pandemic that clearly if we travel less, the earth will take care of itself and it'll rebound. And taking as many measures that we can as an industry collectively, the better off things will be and the more sustainable it will maintain itself for everyone to enjoy in future generations. But some of the things that we've started to do to help operators like Neil is we've embraced technology. So as we meet today here in 3 different locations, we've done this sort of thing with our operators. We've embraced technology to do augmented reality, virtual reality, and now we're doing drone shows and different activities that minimize the impact. And that's where we're starting. At the same time, we brought in a professional who's a climate expert to help us measure the emissions that the Indigenous tourism industry puts out, and we'll develop a strategy to go along with addressing that. So this model of tourism that we currently see is not something that we refer to when we talk about what we've been doing for thousands of years, because it isn't. And we all need to collectively address it. And there's a lot of people within the tourism industry doing their own thing to try to help alleviate some of the pressures on the environment that tourism creates.
And then for you, Neil, I can imagine there is a fine line between you wanting to share the experience of being Indigenous and being out in the wilds on the one hand, and then on the other hand, with so-called settler culture gawking, if you like, at how you do what you do. There's a fine line there. How do you sort of reconcile all of that?
Well, I think when we look at one of the common things that we all have to do every day is eat. And I want people to start asking themselves, from a very from the start of their day, where are they in their food system? And unfortunately, here in Canada, as fortunate as we are to live in this great country, we're number 3 in terms of food wastage. And so when we start asking ourselves, where are we in our own food system? Am I a producer? Am I a harvester? Am I a distributor? Or am I simply a consumer? And if I am a consumer, do I waste? What percentage of my food do I waste? And how do I take matters into my own hands and getting back to the center of that and become a little bit more connected to where my food comes from? Understanding that then leads into a number of other areas, especially conservation. I sit on a board, a not-for-profit board here called Manitoulin Streams, and we work very closely with the public, especially during the tourist high season. But we also work very closely with schools and educating not only First Nation students, but also students, across Manitoulin to talk about stream health. And we do micro hatcheries in schools. students take an active role during the summer and in early fall in stream restoration. So we have a number of initiatives that we're involved in to really allow people to be, and students especially, to be participants rather than observers.
Well, let me follow up with Kevin on that. Education obviously is a huge part of what you're trying to do here, but are there some aspects of Indigenous life that you think ought to be sort of off limits to non-Indigenous people who you are doing business with?
Yes, and first and foremost, Steve, it's not my individual call to make. It's the call of the community, and it's up to them to decide what's appropriate to share or not. With that being said, we're doing our small part at Indigenous Tourism Ontario. We've got what's called the Indigenous Cultural Integrity Advisory Group. It's individuals made up of people from various nations across Ontario. We've got Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Cree individuals sitting on this committee, and they're helping shape integrity guidelines for us to conduct business in a meaningful way and a respectful way, but at the same time not become cultural police, so to speak. So with that being said, we'll help set guidelines. Communities can embrace them as much as they feel fit, but they should also go through their individual processes to identify what they're willing to share. And to each community, it's going to vary. It's going to be different because there's such diverse groups right across Ontario.
Well, Neil, it does make me wonder, because there are people who come from all over the world to come experience Northern Ontario and all of the beautiful things it has to offer and the spectacular Indigenous culture that you are offering as well. But when people say, we've come here for the Indigenous experience, do they actually know what they mean?
Well, I think it's our responsibility to teach them that, and to, for everyone that I've taken out has been completely respectful of the rules on the boat, for one, because they're safety rules, but also it's more of an education piece of I didn't know this. I mean, if you look at the residential school effect and over the course of generations, and in the curriculum of provincial schools, that has been avoided for the most part. And I think it's this education piece that everyone is now more aware of, and that's the start, where we start to have these healthy discussions around, from residential schools to the 60s scoop or whatever topic they're interested in. I think asking questions and being okay with that is one of those first steps toward reconciliation for all of us.
Kevin, how does that work in your world? Do those issues come up as well?
Absolutely, and everyone's looking to learn. And the surprising thing is it's hard to put it into words to them what they're going to experience initially with the operators. There's such a diversity across businesses in Ontario and across the country and across Turtle Island that they just want to check a box typically, Steve, where they see an experience or hear something really cool, and they hear, oh, Indigenous tourism is this really cool thing. However, when they get here, they find that when they meet Neil, it's just the tip of the iceberg doing that, 1 day or 2 day experience with them, where they actually want to learn more, and the hunger starts to grow within them. So it's an amazing thing to see. We've had visitors in some of my other operations where they've come back multiple times to learn about the same thing over and over again. And it reminds me of some of the simple teachings about teachings is what you hear today may not be what you hear tomorrow, not because the story changed, but because you're at a different place individually, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And from that, you're going to learn something different. So every time they come, even though they might go with Neil, 5 times one summer, the next summer, they might learn 2 new different things. And that's what's really amazing about Indigenous tourism is it's constantly building. And although we've been, the history of our people has been oppressed for so long, there's so much to share and there's so much to learn, and it takes multiple trips to do so.
Well, Neil, let me ask a bit of a down and dirty business question here, because as much as you two are involved in the business of sharing spirituality and education and memorable lifelong experiences, you are also, at the end of the day, in competition with non-Indigenous businesses that are trying to make a living in the tourism field as well. How much friction is there with other, for example, non-Indigenous tourism operators that you find in the course of doing your business?
That's a great question. And there's 2 ways to look at life. There's this abundance mentality or there's deprivation theory. And I'm going to choose, the former. I'm going to look at it from this notion of abundance. And some people want the First Nation experience, and they gravitate to us. I think we are the center of the universe here. I mean, that's a little egocentric, but when we look at Turtle Island and that heartbeat, and you look at what's at the center, and fresh water is at the center of us as an organism. Well, it's also at the center of Turtle Island, and Manitoulin is that heartbeat. And I think there are so many people wanting to come here and experience. They're just there is a lot of room for growth. And if people want to try, if you look at Facebook and people say, I want to go on a fishing charter, who do I look up? There'll be 10 fishing charters. You've got Luke Wasagijic from Was Tours, you've got Brian Still from Stillwater Fishing, and you've got the other non-native businesses as well. And there is enough to go around. We can only take out one group at a time. And now I'm at that stage where I like to do one charter a day, and we run another charter boat with another captain the other part of the day. So it's one of those things where it's not this rat race. It's one of the things, it's a motto that my mom, taught me way back, which was do more of what you love and less of what you don't, and live your life by that rule. And so you get to be fortunate enough, you get to go fishing every day.
Great sentiments. I wish you both well in your efforts to improve spirituality, to educate, and let's say it, and to make some money this summer as well, because that's a good thing too. Neil DeBossige and Kevin Eshkokogan, thank you so much for coming on to TVO tonight. Miigwech, and have a great summer, you two.
Miigwech, Poma.
Miigwech, Poma.
As Canadians increasingly come to understand this country's very difficult history with Indigenous peoples, they don't always get to hear about the richness of Indigenous culture, history, and tradition, or how it shapes the daily work of creative professionals in their fields. We'd like to help a little with that tonight. So, joining us now, in Peguis First Nation, north of Winnipeg, Manitoba, designer Alicia Sutherland, who is the driving force of her own couture brand. It's called Ali's Ribbons. And in Sudbury, Ontario, architect Eladia Smoke Keshigabawik, who is Anishinaabekwe from Obishkakang or Lac Seul First Nation. She is principal of Smoke Architecture, a firm that specializes in Indigenous projects and has the most difficult name to pronounce of anyone who's ever been on this program. And Eladia, did I get close?
You did, Steve. Excellent job.
Okay, I tried my best. I really did. I want to thank both of you for coming on to TVO tonight. And we're going to talk about something that I suspect doesn't get nearly enough attention in media in this country, so we're going to do something about that tonight. Eladia, to you first. I don't know too many female Indigenous architects in this country, so tell us, you are one of how many?
Oh, let me count here. We've got Rochelle Lemieux in Manitoba. Who's Métis. We've got Wanda Della Costa, who's the first Indigenous woman with a status Indian who was ever licensed across Canada. Harriet Burdett Moulton, who's now retired, but she's the first woman with Indigenous descent to be licensed as an architect. Rory Scott. We've got Kelly Bapty, and I think I'm drawing a blank. That might be close to all of us.
Oh my gosh, so you're talking about fewer than 10 here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, in which case, how does somebody like you end up in a profession like that? You obviously didn't have a lot of role models growing up in that regard.
Well, my dad was in the construction industry and told us an awful lot about how his experiences in northern housing really emphasized the need for Indigenous agency in the built environment, where we make our own decisions about the habitats we're creating. And I had a stepdad who trained as a designer. So I did have some passing familiarity with the building industry, and it seemed a natural fit with my skill sets. So I went for it. I didn't realize at the time how few of us there are out there. Indigenous architects represent less than 1% of the architects in Canada. They're still under 20.
Okay, Alicia, let's do the same thing with you. In female Indigenous dress designers in this country, how many would you say?
I would say there's actually a growing amount. There's a lot of Indigenous women who are rising in across Canada and across the U.S. So I have no number, and it's continuing to grow and grow. And I'm just one of many that are trying to do our best and get our stuff out there.
And what was your inspiration for going into this line of work?
My inspiration was kind of like creating something that out of nothing, if that makes sense. A lot of my work came from ceremonies and all that stuff, because I'm a reconnecting as well. I've been reconnecting for almost 8 years now. And so when I came in, I had no understanding of what the ribbon skirt or ribbon work was. And so, you know, I started playing with colors and patterns and designs, and it just grew from a feeling of feeling proud of who I am. And this is what it created today.
I gather there was a time when you needed a dress for a ceremony that you are supposed to take part in, and you didn't have one. And so your mother said what?
My mother-in-law, we were getting ready for our warrior ceremonies here in Peguis First Nation. And she asked me, do I have a skirt for ceremonies coming up? Because I would always borrow her skirts. And I said, no. And she said, okay, well, let's make you one. And she said, before we start anything, you smudge and you pray and you call upon your grandmothers and your grandfathers, you know, because they will guide you and they will help you. And you do that with anything that you do. And I was like, okay. So I was all nervous. And then she showed me how to thread a sewing machine, and then how to sew my first ribbon, how it should look and all that stuff. And then it just like a fire lit within me. And I was like, wow, I love this feeling of creating something that I'm going to wear in ceremony. And it just made me very proud to be who I am, very proud that I'm able to do that for myself. And then I wanted others to feel like that as well, because at the time I was going through postpartum depression with my first child. And then so when I got into that with my mother-in-law, I felt like I knew who I was, and this is what, you know, makes me feel proud of who I am, and I want to share that with everyone, especially youth.
Marvelous. Okay.
Yeah.
Olivia, I wonder how, or maybe you can tell me this, is it difficult to express yourself architecturally in a country where, as you look around, there is obviously a lot of architecture that is reminiscent of colonial times in this country? And I wonder if that inhibits your process.
It is a difficult hybridization that we tackle every day at work, and it's so interesting to hear Alicia's process, because that's how we do it in our office too. We smudge. When you think about architecture, it's been used as a colonial device throughout the globe for a long time, because it has to do with establishing a relationship between yourself as a person, us as humans, and the rest of our environments. And when our relationship with our environment is one of exploitation and extraction, you have a certain type of architecture to express that. It expresses authority, hierarchy, control over one's environments. Indigenous architecture, from pre-contact times up until the present, has always been about bringing people together with our environments. So the interface between people and all of the life systems that support us has always been very soft, welcoming, and emphasizing the the dependencies and interconnections that exist between human life and all other life. So when you look at, say, a wigwam, it has cosmological significance because it opens up gateways to the four directions. Each of those directions has teachings, what they mean. Our entrance is from the east, which is the direction of sunrise. We open up, an access to the sky, so that we acknowledge all the air creatures, Father Sun and Grandmother Moon. And then, that center is the direction of downward, connecting to Shikagamakwe, Mother Earth. And, right in the middle is that place of balance where the self resides. Often there's a drum to represent the shared heartbeat rhythm of all life systems. So when you dig into Indigenous architecture, there's huge facets of meaning, and the approach to creating those architectures is very different as well.
Well, let's look at some of your work. Can we do that right now? Because we've got some pictures here, and we'll put to picture what you have just described here, and you can help us understand how what we're seeing reflects that. For example, here's our first picture. This is a proposed Toronto library, and we see the exterior is wrapped in a metal sheet with diagonal stripes. Now, perhaps you could explain to us how what we're seeing here, or what I've described for those listening on podcast and who can't see it, how what we're seeing is guided by Indigenous creativity.
We used the star blanket as a jumping off point because the star blanket represents the attention and support of community for really good work that's being done in the community. We collaborated on Dawes Road Library with Perkins and Will, architectural firm, and Toronto Public Library was a really powerful client pushing very important engagement activities, and they were a joy to work with. This Dawes Road branch intends to bring through Indigenous knowledge carriers to meet and share their teachings in this space. So
I'm just going to get our director to put up some pictures of the interior and the exterior. Okay, there's an interior shot of the library, and yeah, by all means, pick up the story there, and there's another shot of the exterior.
Yes, that's right. So that star blanket wraps around all of this good work that's going to be happening in this library. The star blanket represents the attention of our ancestors who have moved into the celestial realm as stars. And in the center, there's a core to the building, which is this roundhouse. And the roundhouse is a place that also has all those cosmological significance that I explained regarding the wigwam. In addition, it's melded with an idea of the Haudenosaunee Longhouse, where the center bay of the Longhouse is where the clan mother resides. So that center, that core or heart of the building, is really the pivotal moment. And that place, that roundhouse, is situated adjacent to a roof garden where there's going to be a sacred fire.
Oh, we just saw that. Sheldon, bring that picture up again, the last one, if you would. Okay, there's the roof garden. So pick up the story, if you would.
Yeah, there'll be Indigenous plantings on this roof garden. We'll be able to do some ceremony up there because there'll be a sacred fire. And there's a kitchen right beside, because whenever we do ceremony, we also have feasts. So food is a big part of things. Huh. So having a space that allows for Indigenous knowledge carriers to share their teachings in the formats that they make sense is really huge, and not something we see in the vast majority of Canadian architecture. Most spaces are rectangular. We're trying to always sit in a circle in a rectangle, and it's a little awkward. So there'll be smudging in that roundhouse. That's, again, something that's frequently not anticipated in architectural environments. So it's really powerful, and I think there'll be amazing work done in that new facility.
Wonderful. All right, Alicia, your turn now. We're going to look. First of all, we can see in the background of your shot, Sheldon, let's go to a full shot. We see some of your product in the background already. Mm-hmm. Absolutely beautiful looking, but we're going to see some other pictures right now. So Sheldon, if you would, let's bring up, here we go here. Okay, vibrant colored dresses, aquamarine blues, light blues, green, mauve ribbons. Tell us, first of all, why is it called a ribbon dress?
Well, a ribbon dress, there's a lot of teachings behind a ribbon dress, so like there's not a right or wrong way. My ribbon dresses are vibrant and colorful because I want my people who wear my work or any type of ribbon work to feel unbelievably proud. And I love to be noticed, and I want people to know that we're Indigenous. So like a lot of the work that I use, color that I use is to be, eye-catching, a statement. Let them know that I'm here and I'm bright and I'm proud.
Well,
and
it's working. Let's bring that shot up again, Sheldon. Now, are these dresses for particular ceremonies?
These are more modern. They wear like events. The more ceremonial stuff is more like a skirt with a couple ribbons, and your names on them, like your colors of what of your name. And these are more modern. These are for because back in the day we weren't allowed to wear our skirts, and if we were, it was ceremonial and private. And so with my work, I want to create like statements, and be vibrant in more color. So this ribbon work that I do is for events, special events. You can like graduations, naming ceremonies, red carpet events.
Let me ask you this. Is it appropriate for non-Indigenous people to wear these pieces of clothing?
For me, a lot of people are very yes and no. For me, I feel like if you wear it with a good spirit and you're wearing it in the right environment, I'm okay with it. But it might not be okay for everyone else.
Gotcha.
It goes with the designer of what their work is.
Okay. Okay, Sheldon, picture 6 if we can. And Alicia, maybe you could tell us who's that third from the left?
The little short one, that's me.
Okay, very good.
And then Dante, the one in the hat, he's, I forget where he's from, but they're with, his brand is Sky Eagle, and they do a lot of everyday wear. And it's so unbelievably beautiful with the way that his clothing flows, and you just know that that's his work. And those are some of the designers that I've met when I was there in Cannes.
Gotcha. Now let's, Sheldon, if we can, 2 more pictures here. Picture 7, first of all. And boy, look at that. That's just a beautiful colors, beautiful dress. And then let's go to picture number 8 as well. And now that's in an arena somewhere. Where is that?
I believe that's in Edmonton.
Okay, and who's wearing
Oilers games?
Oh, that's an Oilers game. Okay, who's wearing your design here?
Ashley Collingbull.
Miss Universe.
Yes.
Okay, so you're with some heavy hitters here in terms of getting your product to people who can do you some good.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm trying my best to create as much friendships and relationships. Like I've dressed Ashley Collingbull, I believe 3 or 4 times, and so building that connection and all that stuff like really means a lot to me. And she's such a good person, and she's such a good role model to the community, and she really tries to promote Indigenous fashion, like the earrings, the dresses, and she's always supporting us, and I'm really grateful for her.
Terrific. Okay, Olivia, let me get you back in here by asking, what do you think is the most distinctive thing about Indigenous architecture so that when non-Indigenous people look at it, they can say, oh yes, okay, I see the difference here, and it hits me where I live?
I would say the diversity of Indigenous nations, how we build, is so different across the continent. And as we develop more practitioners in the field, I think we're going to see really powerful gestures that are very much of their place, because Indigenous architects draw upon ancestral knowledge that's been built up over thousands of years of inhabitation in the territories where they practice and live. So I think one of the things that I love about Indigenous architecture is it's so it reflects what the land can support and what the land is trying to teach us about ourselves. And when we create these spaces, what we're really doing is creating spaces where our cultural activities become possible, because in the majority of mainstream spaces, it's not possible to create our Indigenous cultural production. So, for example, I've seen groups of women come together to create ribbon dresses, such as Alicia makes, and we sit in a circle, and we sit around a big table. Usually there's food available, and we're doing things together. And those types of spaces we really have to see more of, I think. They'll enrich our experience of space for everyone in Canada. So I hope to see more of that deepening of Indigenous presence in architecture.
And I've had the great pleasure of interviewing Douglas Cardinal on this program once, and we know what an impact he's had on architecture in this country. What's the dream for you?
I would like to see, we're thinking of establishing a foundation to support young people coming into the profession, because we really need young people to consider architecture as a really viable career option. We need more of us in this field. And I think we have so much to offer Canadians at large. These environments just work because they're of their place. So I'm hoping to establish this foundation to support elders to share our knowledge systems in venues that really work, at times of the year that really work, and may not fit into your typical institutional educational formats. So I'm really hoping that this foundation can get that started. It's still in its talking phase right now, but we're inspired by the work of Sean Bailey, who's established a similar one in Manitoba. So, it's actually on the border of Manitoba and Ontario. So he's sort of established a similar land-based learning institution, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds as well.
And Alicia, as I show two more pictures of your work, I want to do picture 7 again, Sheldon. Let's do that. Now that's in Cannes, France, I believe. And then let's do picture 9 now.
This is my my cousin. She's with her 4 daughters.
And where's that one taken?
Yes. This one is in our home community. We had a fashion show, I believe June 7th, and we were able to celebrate our community and to showcase.
So that's in Pegwas then?
Yes, to showcase all the ribbon work. Okay,
so my last question for you is, what's a bigger deal for you? Cannes, France, or Pegwas First Nation for showing your wares?
I would say it was kind of both. In Cannes, it's like new environment, so I was really intimidated and meeting the other designers and networking. But in my home community, these people saw me grow up. I think that was a little bit more scary than Cannes, because and it got me really emotional because they asked me to speak before my collection, and I was trying my best not to cry because, I was the little girl on the side, not really having these opportunities, and to see that the youth and the children were front and center, and especially the elders, it was really, really emotional. And I just felt like this is now changed. This is what the future is going to be in our community.
Beautiful. I want to thank both of you, Alicia Sutherland from Pegwas First Nation and Alicia Smoke Keshigabawik. I did it better the second time, I think, Alicia. I want to thank you both for coming on to TVO tonight and sharing your talents with our viewers and listeners. Miigwech.
Miigwech.
On both blue lines in this year's Stanley Cup final, two of the top defensemen were Indigenous players. Zach Whitecloud for the Las Vegas Golden Knights and Brandon Montour for the Florida Panthers. And not only did they make their teams proud, they also had communities here north of the 49th parallel cheering them on, and probably plenty of younger hockey hopefuls dreaming of following in their footsteps as well. With us now on why more and more Indigenous kids are getting into the game, we're joined in Timmins, Ontario by co-founder and CEO of Hockey Indigenous. There's Stefan Friday, who is Cree from Kashechewan First Nation. Stefan, it's great to meet you. How you doing?
Oh, nice to meet you, Steve. I'm doing great. Yourself?
Just great, thank you. Did you, as I did, watch all of the Stanley Cup final?
Oh, I did. I pretty much did.
What'd you think of
after the game?
What'd you think of those two guys?
Oh, they're amazing. I think they played great. They're very inspirational, and it really motivated me too. So it was very inspiring. It was wonderful to see that.
Let's talk more about that, because Hockey Indigenous has been around for about 6 years. What's the biggest change you've seen over that 6 years that you've been doing it?
The growth has been tremendous. I remember starting out, and there wasn't much of a lot of like Indigenous youth getting into the game. I mean, like, we're all passionate about the game, but in terms like of organized hockey, I noticed a growth. And for example, the CHL, which connects to the WHL, the OHL, and the QMJHL, I noticed like it grows up at least like 5 to 10 players each year, and I think it went to like close to 60 Indigenous players this year. And when I started off Hockey Indigenous, it was called Indigenous Hockey at the time, there was about 15 to 20, and that was 6 years ago. So you can imagine the growth now and the growth that it's going to. And we've received like so much submissions to the point that we can't keep up and like to promote the youth. So that's
a good problem to have.
Another staggering thing.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. I'd like to know what it means to you to know that the Stanley Cup is going to spend, this is the tradition, that you win the Stanley Cup, you're allowed to bring it each player is allowed to bring it for one day to their home community, and Zach Whitecloud is going to bring that Stanley Cup to Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation. What does that mean to you?
I feel really happy for him. I feel so excited for the community members, and just thinking about like the Indigenous communities, and especially Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation. They have such a great support system there, and I seen it through like through our social media pages too, because I noticed there's like some of the family members sharing, and I'm just very excited. It's exciting times, and I'm just very honored and humbled to really witness this with all the Indigenous people that have been following Indigenous hockey players. And I'm very happy for him. And that's the one thing I could just simplify right now.
Right. Have you met Zach or Brandon ever?
No, I haven't.
If you could, what would you say to them?
Oh, I would be very excited to meet them, and it would be an honor to meet them, and I would tell them thank you for inspiring me to motivate me to get this page going out. And it would be a very exciting thing to meet them. And the number one thing I would just say is like, keep doing the work that you guys are doing, because they inspired so much Indigenous youth. I don't think they can really comprehend how much support system they really have. So just wanted to let them know that so much support they have.
Yeah, that's what I wonder, because it's not necessarily the case that other players, non-Indigenous players in the NHL, feel both the support and the obligation to represent well whatever community they're from. But it may well be that's what Zach and Brandon feel. Do you think they understand that they really are carrying the hopes and dreams of Indigenous kids all over North America with them?
Oh, I believe so. And about our Indigenous community, all of our communities have this thing called close-knit community, where we support each other, whether that's like through hockey or through hard times. So that's one thing I'm very proud of our community, is that close-knit mentality, where we just support each other, rally around each other, and just push ourselves and push each other. And I'm sure I was following Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation, and Six Nations. I was checking out their social media pages, and the amount of support that they shown to community members and player is tremendous, and we're very honored to share all that and support them in any way that we can. And it's just that close-knit mentality is what I love about our communities.
Brandon Montour's from Six Nations, right, just west of Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah, so he'd be a big influence there. You mentioned hard times, and I do want to follow up on that with you, because you grew up Kashechewan First Nation near the shores of James Bay. A lot of hardship there. We've obviously heard through the media about it through the years. So I wonder what did hockey do for you as a young person playing on the res, as they say?
Playing as, thank you for that, Steve. It's good. In my childhood, I always played road hockey, ice hockey. I've actually never played hockey myself, but I've always connected to the sport with my friends and with my grandpa and my brother. That's how I connect myself with hockey in my community. We would just play outside all the time, and then I would participate, in many different ice rinks outside in my community. That's how I connect with myself with hockey. And that's the funny thing. The co-founder doesn't.
Stefan, you're still playing hockey, I presume?
Kinda, not really. I'm getting back. I want to get back to skating and learn more about skating. So that's the funny thing about me, I guess.
Okay, so you never took lessons as a kid or any of that kind of stuff? Went to hockey school?
It's more of a family thing, and this is some respectful circumstances that came with it, and I guess it's more of a family thing for me. And I think that's probably the best way I can answer that.
Gotcha. I want to just read something that's on your website. This is from Hockey Indigenous website, and there's a statement there called Theory of Change. And I'm just going to read this out for those listening on podcast. It goes, if we provide low-income hockey athletes or students with sponsorship with assistance, then they will get into better education, boost self-esteem in their game, and have improved life options and opportunities. Tell me how you think hockey can do all that.
I believe hockey is a great outlook for our Indigenous youth in our communities, and growing up on the res and off the res, because I lived that both lives, and seeing my community members growing up, and hockey is such a big thing for them. It's on top of our traditional and cultural activities. It's up there, and it is an outlook. It's a real thing for them. It's real life for them, and having hockey and supporting them through education, and helping them get out of the res. They need that support system, and having those three elements would be a key thing in their life. And that's my theory, and that's something I believe that would truly help them. And funding is such a big issue in our communities, and hockey is such an expensive sport. Really, I just really want to help our youth, and the greater good has always outweighed my personal interests.
That's a great point, because hockey, unlike basketball, which all you need is a ball, or unlike soccer, where all you need is a ball, hockey's expensive. You need equipment, you need skates. I mean, you're literally into hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get
Yes.
outfitted for all of that. So tell me about some of the programs that you're running out of Hockey Indigenous to try to make it more accessible for kids.
So we just recently started our youth hockey skills clinic, where we outsource Indigenous facilitators within the area wherever we are hosting. So it's using grassroots, helping grassroots youth. So there's that interconnected Indigenous connection there. And that's one thing that we're doing. And the big thing that we're doing is the youth promotion, where we promote Indigenous youth from all over Turtle Island, which is Northern Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Canada, Northern Turtle Island. And that's where we help promote our youth, get them noticed, help expose them. And it creates a bridge. We're like a bridge for the youth and these managers, coaches, wherever organized leagues, where they come from. And we do get contacted whenever we post youth. It may not be all the time, but they're noticed. And that's what I'm really proud of, what we do with our youth promotion. And we're just starting up. We just finished a call out for our plan for a National Indigenous Junior Hockey Championships, and we're closing in on our call for a hockey Indigenous scouting program where we just want to expand that youth promotion, where we could create a whole comprehensive database and just help our youth in any way possible. And we think 10 years ahead over here at Hockey Indigenous, and we go by our plan and we just do our work. So that's like the three main programs that we're doing. We still have lots of ideas planned that will be upcoming in the next couple of months and years.
Good stuff. Do you have an indoor arena at Kashechewan?
There is an indoor arena in my home community, and it's pretty old. It definitely needs some maintenance. So that's like another initiative I would love to do through Hockey Indigenous, a hockey for communities initiative where we could build or renovate arenas or in Indigenous communities so they could have access and opportunities and a safe space for play, because play is important for youth.
It sure is. Stefan, I have 30 seconds here left to tell you, because I don't think you are old enough to have been alive when the Maple Leafs last won the Stanley Cup. Am I right about that?
Probably not. I don't think so.
I don't think you were, because that was, 56 years ago already. But I think it's worth remembering that the guy who picked up that trophy for the Toronto Maple Leafs, George Armstrong, the captain, was himself Indigenous. So Indigenous players have been playing in the NHL for a very long time, and I'm going to watch Brandon and Zach continue to do good, and it's going to be very exciting. So I thank you for coming on to TVO tonight and talking to us all about this.
I agree with you, Steve. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for this opportunity.
To you too. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Thank you.
And that is the agenda for Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. Canadians living to and beyond 100 years old hit new highs according to last year's census data. Tomorrow, do they know some secret for longevity? Or does it mostly just come down to luck? We'll find out. I'm Steve Paikin. Thanks for watching TVO, for joining us online at tvo.org, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
With thousands of in-depth interviews and discussions, The Agenda's YouTube channel delivers context for virtually any topic you're interested in. Check out our latest videos and playlists at youtube.com/theagenda. And make sure to hit the subscribe button to get notified about all our new conversations. It's all available at youtube.com/theagenda.